All right, this is Lloyd Albritton on the Lloyd and a very special Lloyd and Friends show. This is a rare occasion when all of the Albritton siblings, there are 6 of us, have gotten together here, and hopefully we can have some kind of orderly
Lord, don't be call me a sibling.
Conversation. But very quickly, the occasion, of course, is Avis is not around a whole lot. He lives in a far distant land. And he's Texas. Here, and so it's an opportunity for Avis to be here with us. Now, very quietly, boys. You go stand in the corner.
Why are you talking funny?
I am
now,
standing in
what I'd like to do is just very quickly, we'll start with Sister Sue, the baby. And Sue, go around and just very quickly tell me your name, and this is for posterity, okay? For the ones. Just tell me your name and how old you are now. Okay, go ahead, Sue. You're Sue. You need some help, Susan?
I am Susan Albritton. I was born in 1956, and I am the youngest.
Okay, whose microphone are you on? That's
Well, I thought you had this all set up.
well, I did. Y'all are modulating your voices. All right, Ronnie, go ahead.
You're the only one talking funny here.
I'm called children. I ain't got no gas.
And that would be Ronnie.
Ronnie Albritton, I'm 176.
Born in 1945, and Ronnie is 79 now.
See, even Lloyd wants to say your part.
I'm about 37 months from being 80.
He's 11 years older than me.
76. He's 76.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Gregor.
Oh, my turn?
Yeah, try to be putting all seriousness aside.
Greg Albritton, 52.
That makes you how old?
52.
He's 52.
52. Oh, what year was you born?
52.
Okay, then. All right,
This
Avis.
is a minimalist.
That's that new math, Lord.
This is, I'm Avis Albritton. I never liked being called the baby.
Well, you are the baby.
I was born in a long time ago, and I ain't nearly as old as all these other people in here.
You ain't said you drawing your Social Security?
Well, ain't nobody's business of what I'm drawing.
I knew we'd have this problem.
You're like
Avis, I didn't ask your waist size.
like a lawyer in court.
I didn't ask your waist size.
And what is your income, sir?
All right, go ahead.
I'm going to object to
Avis
that.
don't want to operate.
I'm Philip Albritton, and I'm. What do you want to hear? My age?
Whatever you want to tell. Don't tell no secrets.
Okay, I'm number 3, and I'm 72 this year.
All right. Okay. So obviously there's resentment toward my being in charge here. So,
Always has been.
so Philip, why don't you start the round table? This is an Albritton round table, and I know Philip wants to be in charge. I see him on the edge of his chair. So
Do I look like I want to be in charge?
yeah,
You never have.
yeah. You're the only one that gets along with Avis. Can ask Avis a question he didn't object to.
Okay, Avis, how long you been beating your wife?
I'm like Trump. I got my fence up already. I know how y'all gonna do me.
All right. So what do y'all want to talk about?
Let's talk about that funny voice you had when you started out.
No, that was the Prudy Barnhill
That was your
voice.
radio voice?
Party.
All right, Avis. If I have to ask you to do your Pooty Barnhill, you'll quit talking about the funny voices.
Who?
Your Pooty Barnhill impression.
I don't know nothing about no Pooty Barn.
Okay. All right. So this was Avis's idea, by the way.
Is that our
Was
cousin?
it a Barlow?
Pooty?
What? That was a Barlow. That wasn't a Barnhill, Lloyd.
We made him a
He's
Barnhill.
starting outline.
They're talking about the fictional character we put on.
He's not a real. It's not a real
It's a
character.
fictional
Keep
character
up,
that they
everybody.
wanted to label me with.
Oh, is that the name in your
Involve me.
book that you used?
Yeah.
Ah.
Pooty
I
Barn.
don't know nothing. I don't want to get sued over anybody named Barnhill or anybody named Pooty coming after me. I don't know nothing about this business.
Too late. I've already turned loose your Social Security number.
Watch out. Ronnie knows everybody's Social Security.
Well, what was that we was talking about? Just
I've got
before we
credit
turned
cards
the mic?
in all y'all's names.
All right. The mics are on.
We're all going to freeze up now that the mics are on. Y'all are. Anyway.
I'm not going to freeze. What do you need me to talk about? Did I tell you about John Dunn?
Tell us about it.
2 or 3 times, Ronnie.
You already heard about it.
You're going to have to tell it again now for the for the listening audience to know about John Dunn.
I don't know.
I would like to hear the John Dunn story from Susan.
From Susan.
From Susan.
Susan
Yeah.
don't know the John Dunn story.
That's even
I
better.
only know a Roy Dunn.
That'll do.
I don't think it's the same.
Knew a Roy Dunn.
I don't think it's the same leg of genealogy with those two. The John Dunn story, I had never heard of it till I said I went
You
to
never
Ronnie's
heard
the other day, and he had to tell me this John Dunn story, and I was getting leg cramps from sitting so long waiting to get the punchline.
Do you have a John here?
Excuse me, sir. Yeah, call your mom. Yeah, the George John Miller at the University of West Florida, who was the assigned guy who had the task of giving us classes, we had to go in and see him every year to get our classes assigned. And the entire time you were there, he had a cubicle about like this.
Now, Ronnie, I'm only the one with the headphones on, so I'm hearing exactly
hearing
what you're going to sound like. You sound like you're in a barrel. As I asked you guys to do, if
Am
you
I
move
in the
closer
barrel?
to the mic.
Is this clearer like this?
That's better.
That's better? Okay. But when you visited Dr. George John Miller, and I may have told you all, he spoke a number of languages.
Is this part of the story?
It is. It's
John
leading
Dunn,
up to it.
it's the John
But he
Dunn.
had every periodical stacked books to the ceiling, and the entire time you're there, and you just wanted to run in and get him to sign your sheet where you could get that class for the upcoming term. And he would start talking to you about the long range, if you took this and how you do, and his voice was kind of like, and if you do this,
Yeah.
and the entire time he's got pencils that need sharpening, and he's sharpening pencils the whole time he's talking. I never saw the like of them. They'd be down to a nub, and he'd still be talking. But he'd sign off finally and let you go and wish you the best of luck, and you get out there and make your class. But he used to be good at it, I guess, rather than bad. But the class would convene late in the afternoon after I had tried to sleep most of the day, and you still like you're drugged, from trying to sleep during the day. And we're all sitting over there. A lot of class, a lot of policemen, firemen, different people in him, social science classes. And he would start, and this reminds me too of a gentleman that was elected out somewhere as the imperial potentate for this unique group that existed. And with this election came the assignment on his part as far as lobbying in our nation's capital on behalf of his constituency. So as he was preparing and got congratulated, he said, now, what we'll do while we're in the Capitol, we'll do what we can for each individual. If you have someone or something you'd like me to attend to while we're over there, I'll have my wife take your name, and we'll see what we can do on your behalf. They came up, started coming up, his wife's jotting them down. He's taking the stuff. So this lady finally comes up. She gravitates up to the front. She says, my name is Mrs. Dunn, and I have lost contact with my son. He lives in Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. His name is prominently displayed in all kinds of places. You'll have no trouble finding him. I need you to have him call me or get in touch with me some way. I'm his mother. I haven't seen him in a number of while. He said, why don't you just call him? She said, I don't know how, but you'll be able to. You have more thunder, more power. He said, okay, writes it down. So to get them all lined up, and they're flying the plane into our capital to get off, and they're taking the limousine to their accommodations, and they drive by one of these big intersections. There emblazoned up is a huge sign, Dunn and Bradstreet. He says, maybe this is that guy. She said his name would be emblazoned across the sky. So pulls over, has the guy pull in. Him and his wife gets out of the limo, goes walking in this big building, opens the door, and tells his wife, have a seat, honey, this will take a minute. Walks up and says, pardon me, ma'am, do you have a John here? She says, oh, yes, we do. Just go right down that hall, take a left, be the third door on your left. So he goes down, marching around, finds it, opens this office door up. Right there, right away, there's a bunch of little offices. He notes right off, and the door opens on this little office. The guy comes out, buckling up his pants, and he says, pardon me, sir, are you done? He said, hell yeah, what's it to you? He said, call your mama.
That's the John Dunn story.
And that is the story of John Dunn. But more into that, I was patrolling back one hot day about like this is here back in the 80s, somewhere in the 80s, and this guy topped over Jay Hill running about 130 miles an hour. And I just turned blue light in that Mustang and made a little whip around and pulled him over. And you'll never guess what his name was.
John
John
Dunn.
Dunn.
That's exactly right. John, that was his name, and he had the exact same date of birth as I did. I mean, everything was just exact. And so as I'm signing him up for remedial training and all, and writing it up for him to sign, I said, let me tell you this story. I hope it won't offend you, and you feel free to use it since it is your name. I told him the story of John Dunn. And, of course, he signed and went on his way. But the guy was about 5 foot tall. You could have put him in a garden and put his feet down a little lower, and he could have been a gnome. That's how little he was. But he was unique. He listened, just as contented with it. And, yeah,
Well, you were in law enforcement all those years, but how many of us have ever been arrested?
How many of us?
Has any of us ever been arrested?
Well, if you're stopped for anything on your path somewhere you're going, you're actually under arrest when you're stopped.
For a traffic ticket?
For anything. If you're
When the blue light
stopped,
comes
if you're
on,
detained,
you're under arrest.
you are under arrest.
Yeah.
Well,
They've
That's why when
arrested
you
your
run, they're gonna
direction.
get you.
Did not know that.
So if anyone ever asks you if you've been arrested, most likely most everybody has been detained or stopped somewhere for some period of time.
well, they usually qualify that if you've ever been arrested for something larger than a $500 felonious fine or something, they'll qualify their question.
Yeah, well, you got misdemeanors and felonies and different categories, but
Usually the person asking that question has more access to that information that even you know. So if a cop ever asks you, you've ever been arrested,
yeah.
they know more about that than I do.
Well,
All they got
every
is a bunch
lawyer
of-
knows that you never ask a question on the stand or anywhere else that you don't already know the answer.
Right, yeah. That's a good policy.
You got a leg up, right?
Another good policy is just don't
Right.
answer no
Constable.
questions. I see these YouTube videos, it aggravates me to death. They get pulled over, a cop's in there, got to be as nice as he can be, woman sometimes. And they want to give me a driver's license and what
Do
your
you
name
know
is.
how fast you were
So-
going? You mean you don't
But
know?
I don't answer questions. And they crack the window about that far, and it keeps saying, I don't answer no questions. I don't answer no questions. And that's one I expect for the flashlight to bust the window out and drag him out onto the pavement with a knee in the back of his head.
Read me my rights.
But they don't do that. They just keep talking nice and say, sir, I want a supervisor. I don't answer no questions. My whole thing with that is, why did you even stop? If you don't answer no questions.
You got to have probable cause, see.
But
And that's
he
usually, if
stopped.
you're running 120 miles an hour, that is your
He
probable cause.
broke his own rule with this. I don't answer questions. I'm not going to comply with you. He's already stopped.
Yeah.
I'd have to ask the guy, why did you even stop? If you got nothing for me, you're not going to answer my question. Tell me who you are. Why did you even stop? Do the chase. Go ahead. So see how it turns out.
If you don't stop, then you got 50 policemen behind you.
And another dozen charges.
Leading a cavalcade. That's
Right.
right.
Let's see how that goes. You get that supervisor you was wanting.
If you're in a municipality, you may get lunch and then go home. No, that's right.
What was that again?
In that scenario, if you get pulled over and you have this experience of what will happen, you'll go get pulled over, you go through the chase, you get a dozen charges, you go before the magistrate, and you get a free lunch, and then you go home.
Well, yeah. Nowadays, that's the way it works.
And only in municipalities. You don't see that happen on the side of the road.
Not in Repton, huh?
No.
Yeah, you get in court. I can remember we used to go to court. A lot of people used to come to Pensacola, the old court building, just for entertainment. There's always an entourage that showed up on the day we all had court.
Oh,
Because
really?
we had some colorful judges in there. They'll sit out in the audience, and when they get up and say, get too noisy, he'll pound and say, "I'll clear the courtroom if I have one more." He's talking about all them spectators out there,
Yeah.
just laughing it up. But these old this guy would be lecturing and advising, talking to the jury, and they start mumbling. It just gets louder and louder. Make them take them crying babies. You got to take them out of here.
Yeah.
All kind of, it disturbs the
God
entire.
forbid your phone go off. Sitting
Oh,
out
my
there, too. The
gosh.
judge will own that phone.
Yes, that's
I'm
right.
telling you, I know from experience. If the phone goes off and you're just a spectator out there,
Yeah.
he's gonna get that. Bailiff, get that.
Yeah, that's right.
I had this accident in Atlanta one time. I was in an old Dodge Dart.
I remember that
and
dart.
It had expired insurance on it, but I still had my card. Okay, I'm flying down 14th Street, and this car in front of me hits the brakes because there's a car in front of her that hit the brakes because of a pedestrian across.
Yeah.
So I tried to avoid it, but I smashed into the back of her. So the cop comes and he said, "Let me see your license and insurance." I had my insurance card, but I knew it was expired. He wrote his information down, and he goes up to the girl and see your license and insurance. She says, "I don't have my card with me, but I have insurance. I just don't have my card." He wrote her down as no insurance proof, So we got to the court. The judge says, "Okay, did you, talking to her, did you satisfy you went and got your insurance, right?" He said, she said, yeah, I got my insurance, and Mr. Albritton here, he's given me my deductible so that I don't have to pay the deductible on my car charges and all. And he looks at me and he says, "Do you have you've satisfied her $500 deductible?" And he didn't say anything to me about my insurance because he didn't have it on his paper that I had, but I had already talked to my insurance company and I had to pay for everything,
Start over.
So after when he was just fixing to make his determination, and he had already told us, he said, "If you have anything you want to add, just raise your hand and give us the mitigating circumstances," or something like that. So that gavel's about to come down and give us the fines, And I put my hand up and he said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Well, I just want to tell you the reason I ran into the back of that woman's car is because I'm to blame for sure. But over here on the left-hand side of the road, as I was coming over that little hill, there was a woman with a little dog, and that little dog shot out in the road, and it caught my attention, and I looked over there at that dog just at the instant that car in front of me stopped, and I just lost my view. I ran into the back of her." He thought about it in a minute, and he says, "Yeah, I can see that happening." I said, "Okay." Hits his gavel. He says, "See the bailiff through that door right there?" I went through the door, and the bailiff says, "Well, the judge understood your story." He says, "There's no fine. You can go on your way."
That's good. Good. We used to have to report odd
So that wasn't
things
a
that
John
we
Dunn
saw
story?
during the course
The
of duty.
judge's name was John.
At the end of your shift, if you had any odd things that you saw, they had to report them, and they had them for the news people. Media would call the station, and they disseminate them out to everybody. You've seen the news. What? Wait till you hear this, or can you see this? And I called in one day to tell them that I had passed in heavy traffic on Highway 29. I got tired of having to do all that kind of stuff, and I said I observed on the side of the road, and it was very unusual, particularly that time of day, there was a small simian, a monkey, if you will, making love to a football. 10-4. Can you expound on that? Hello.
Like, in court must be where you heard that. I state your name.
Yeah.
Do solemnly swear.
Yeah. That is hilarious.
Yeah. And,
You
Tell
says,
about-
repeat
tell us
after
about
me
those,
exactly as I
tell us-
say. What would you do?
tell us about
Say your
those,
name. Say your name.
African suspects named Orange Jello and Lemon Jello.
Lamangelo and
Yeah,
Orangelo.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And Lamangelo and
Orangelo.
Orange Orangelo. Yeah.
Yeah, that was those buses that used to be down in South Florida, and they'd haul those. What do you call them, from Cuba, outlying areas?
Refugees.
Well, they were actually working. They had work cards, but they'd haul them en masse to the sites, and this was around Pahokee, Florida, where it's vegetable capital of the world.
Where? Pahokee.
Pahokee, Florida. Yeah. That's where Mel Tillis was from, too, by the way. Pahokee. But they would, if you went to a wreck with them, there'd be a bus load of them. And a lot of them were family, and the names like Troy Christmas. I can remember a guy piloting one of the buses, and they rolled over. And if you went into one of these canals, which there were canals down by every road, and so many times, if you didn't get them all out, a lot of them would drown in there in that bus or whatever before you could get them. Wreck wasn't that bad. They'd just run off in there and roll it over. But I'll never forget this old guy. He must have been older than we are. And they're asking him for identification. He didn't even know where his youngins were. They out there still getting fished out of the canal. And he pulled his old wallet out, one of them like Jake Hollingsworth used to carry, the long one with a chain on it, and opened it up and pulled out thing and cellophane wrapped around it, and it was his birth certificate. He said he wouldn't give it to the guy. He said, "No, you can read it, but I ain't give it to you. You'll lose it." Wasn't even worried about all them youngins in that canal. And they steady fishing them out and laid them on the side. Those were the things that broke up the monotony of just riding up down the highway, waiting for somebody to violate the traffic law and citing him and giving him that citation. Not to be confused with a commendation. It was always, some people call it a ticket.
Yes. Citation.
But it paid the bills, I got paid once a month whether I needed it or not.
In the motorcycle circles, we call it a ticket. There's a term they used, fast driving award.
Fast driving award, yeah. Motorcycles, man, that's another thing too. Chasing, I learned early, never chase a motorcycle. It's just nothing can go right.
You want to avoid hitting a dog on one too.
yeah, from experience, right? Yeah. I can remember meeting them in motorcycles. You hear them like a chainsaw on their back wheel, or just. As soon as you met them in a patrol car, you can check your rear view mirror, and they'll almost get whiplash like that. And you'd always I just touch my brake light, but I'd keep going. And, he's just. He'd be running warp 5 for about 10 miles and realize you ain't back there yet.
Yeah, thinking he really left you in the dust.
That's right, yeah.
And he turned around.
I just kept going.
Might as well. You can't catch them things.
No, it'll wreck. They'll wreck, somebody else will. You'll tear up your car.
Yeah.
But we had a switch in the early days too. Switches for everything. You just flip a switch and then you could hit your brakes and the brake light wouldn't come on. Yeah. So you wouldn't know it. You could slick up on it. Or if you're meeting them out there, you had a light that you could flip off and turn one of your headlights out. And it's not a trooper. He's got a headlight out. Sneaky
police. I didn't know they had any kind of tricks.
When you pull up by him, see, when you get out and ask him for his lights, he's standing outside. You had another switch on your fender. You just flip it and your headlight comes back on. Wait a minute, man. You got a headlight out. I know I've seen it.
Make it look like a rolling
See,
truck.
When I first came on, the guy in charge at the academy, and I'll never forget, said, in your tenure with the patrol, if it's a year, 36 years or whatever, always try to figure out a way every day to have fun. You'll live longer. You'll make things, get your work done the first 4 hours. Rest of the 4 hours, try to have fun. So I did.
Spoken like a true state employee.
Well, they did. They told you things at Tallahassee. You get a new commandant and you go in there, you say, just because we've never done this don't mean we can't. I'm listening to all that. And it's easier to get forgiveness than to get permission. Another one I remember. Well, sir, can we do that? Well, since you've asked me, I've got to tell you no. So you went ahead and did it, and if it turned out to be bad, you got forgiveness.
Ronnie, swing that mic over to Gregory a little while.
Okay.
We'd like to hear from you. We'd like to hear from the governor.
Have I already told you the John Dunn?
Well, Susan, what have you been up to? You retired yet?
I am retired. I am retired from the DOC,
What does that mean? What is the DOC?
Department of Corrections.
Oh, Department of Correction, the prison.
Does that mean you're on parole?
God, I hope not. I don't want this to end.
Where's Lloyd for?
I got to take a phone call.
That sounds like my line. I left my in the car, Lloyd.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about
Man, now I can hear everything clearly.
Yeah.
Ronnie, stop breathing so hard. Yeah, what did Lloyd say he had to do?
Take a phone call.
Take a phone call?
Wait a minute. I think he's going to the bathroom. Should have sent him in there with a novel.
Well, I meant to tell everybody, turn your phones off.
Yeah.
But can't
It's
do
too
that.
late now.
Yeah, it's too
Nobody
late.
ever called
Nobody
us.
ever calls me.
I always got my phone off. I turn it on to make a call.
We know.
That's its intended purpose.
Yeah, that's it. It's my minutes. I mean, why would I let somebody else use them?
Well, Avis, how long are you going to be with us?
You're still buying minutes.
And I'd buy seconds if I
Let's
could
see
get it.
that antique phone you got. Okay, what was the question, sir?
How long are you going to be with us?
Many years. I'm
You
sure.
hope-
No.
I'm not feeling anything right now, but
Yeah.
I mean, you're in Tidmo, in that more.
I'll be here till tomorrow morning about 7 o'clock.
Really? You leaving tomorrow? I thought you was here
I'm lighting
Sunday.
a shuck. They got a gun show out there in Conroe I got to make this weekend.
That's one in Mobile this weekend.
Well, me and Joey have a
Oh.
plan.
Oh, okay.
You know, I think he probably can't buy a gun or something, so I got to accompany him so I can buy him.
You're the.
I
Oh,
can
they
arm
call
him
that
properly.
straw purchases.
Yeah. Oh, I can't say that out loud.
Why we're gonna get you?
He's taking care of bullying right now.
Okay, yeah, okay. It's not a real gun. We're talking about just a water gun.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just a water gun.
One of them paint guns, little toy things.
Yeah, it's a toy, I'm sure.
Yeah. Cap gun.
It only shoots paper and trees and stuff like that.
I was sitting out in front of a restaurant, pizza place, on Peachtree Street in Atlanta one time when I was working at the frame shop over on 14th Street.
Mhm.
And we went to lunch, and we were sitting out there on the front eating our pizza, and this carload of guys come, and I guess they were from Georgia Tech, you know, quasi-teenagers, students out there trying to create mischief. But they had them paint guns, and they was going along shooting people on the street.
With paint pellets.
good.
Paint, and they hit me. It deflected off of the one guy's head, and it went over and hit me right here on my glasses. And the glasses is what it kept it from just hitting in my eye and going in my eye. It busted it right there,
Man.
and that stuff went all over everybody out there. And we were like, "What happened? Where did that come from?"
We had, back about 1972 or something like that.
I didn't realize it was that severe of a projectile.
Sunday afternoons, we'd ride around and, you know, make the circle of Ponderosa to Dairy Queen. You know, just riding around doing nothing. We got into water balloon fights on a Sunday. And then I was driving Daddy's old Ford, old 57 Ford, I think.
59, when that old black one.
59. That was the blue one. It
Oh,
was
the blue.
The 57, I think. But anyway, well, I had been driving it around doing water balloon fights, and everybody all over Atmore just throwing water balloons at each other. So, well, I went back to the house, and later on we got all loaded up and going to church. And Daddy's up there driving us to church. We're going to church, and here come a water balloon right in front of Daddy. He's driving.
The war was still
Daddy,
on.
Daddy about had a cow about that. So people just driving by down there somewhere around the Ponderosa on South Main over there, and this water balloon just comes out of nowhere, sprat right in the middle.
It probably fell out of my airplane.
I don't know. I don't know nothing about that.
Your car was marked. Huh?
Yeah, it was out to get Avis that day. Too bad Bud was driving.
Man, I bet that daddy. He probably got just about as mad as he did that time when he was taking his Saturday night bath and turned that wash. He couldn't figure where all that water was coming about. Man, he was taking his bath in front of the fireplace and seen that water and thought, man, where's all this water coming from this tub? And he got out, wrapped a towel around his rear end, and poured that water out, and there's them holes all in the bottom of that tub where we found it on the pump house playing with darts. That was a perfect target, boy. That was before y'all's time.
Yeah,
Y'all don't
yeah.
remember that. He liked to beat me and Lloyd to death. We just kind of crept away as he turned that tub, but we knew what was coming.
Gregory, you got your work boots on. You've been working in the yard?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you fix your fence over there?
I'm working on it.
Well, yeah, it's hard work right now with this heat. You're out there in the sun.
Goodness, yes.
He's in the shade. I
It's
rode
brutal.
by and saw him out there. Big old hat about that big,
Well, luckily he's got
Shade.
lots
It
of
was a shady
trees to
yard.
get under.
cutting limbs.
Well,
Yeah,
you went. You had some grandchildren last week here, didn't you? Are they?
They're still here.
They're still there.
Yeah.
That's Heidi's kids.
No,
Jesse's.
Jesse's kids.
Jesse's.
Now, I picked up talking with him the short time I did. Now, Amelia's birthday is May the 24th,
Okay.
right?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm telling you it is.
Okay.
And then the other one's birthday was August the 17th. The older one, it was 17 or something.
Okay.
Okay, what's her name? I forgot the name.
Julie.
Julie. Okay, that's right. We talked about that.
Uh-huh.
Named after Ma Julie.
I didn't know there was
You can
another
remember
Julie.
all your grandkids' names?
No.
He has to spray
I
paint
don't
them
have to
at
right
get-togethers.
Oh.
What is it count now? 23?
22.
22?
I ain't got but 10
I got 3.
Grandkids?
grandkids.
I got a bunch more than Gregory, I think. But I just don't ask me their names or birthdays, so I don't know.
Or where they are.
Yeah, where they are, exactly.
Oh, by the way, I told Amelia and Julie when we left, I said, y'all made a mistake. I said, y'all told Ronnie your birthdays. I said, he knows those forever now.
Social Security number, don't tell him that.
I told her that. What? He knows it? No. So,
Well, things that you can associate by association, just like I told them, Austin's birthday is August 18th. So all I got to remember is the day before. And the May 24th,
What?
when she said May 24th, it was right on a piece of paper I had in my thing right there, May 24th. It just embedded there, you know.
Like a sponge.
267-02804.
I got. I have to write. I got a paper on my computer. I'm telling secrets now, but I've got a piece of paper, the list of all my usernames and passwords.
Oh, I do too.
'Cause
It's
you can't. there's
going
no
into
way
second
you can-
pages now.
And then you get anything dealing with the government.
Every
or
time you go to
banks,
use something,
You
they
gotta
want you to
change
change
it
your
periodically.
password.
Yeah.
It's a tough
And
keeping
it's got to
up
have
with 'em.
this and this and this. You can't just change anything you can remember. Like
I guess so. First,
I went to the
just
stove.
give me one. Just give me one. Tell me what it is. Yeah.
You don't want that either, because if you leave it to the Apple computers to pick one for you, it's like launch codes. You will never remember that. Nobody. It's safe now because not even I could get in there.
Little A, big B.
You know?
A couple of numbers and then a character.
Yeah,
And then a cartoon character drawn
yeah,
in.
and one of these and one of those.
Susan, when do you first remember knowing about the internet? Do you recall when you first used or knew about the
I-
You mean we got the
yeah.
internet now?
I was at work and this
That's-
girl was
Me-
trying to
we
show
got a
me
man
how to
on
use
the
a
moon?
mouse.
Oh, right.
Trying to show you how to use the mouse?
Trying to show me how to use a
Oh,
mouse.
we had
and,
mouses
and that
before we
opened
had
up.
the internet.
That would be mice, Philip.
That's true, but it was shortly after that.
Oh, what year was that?
Yeah, here we go.
Ooh, that's a tough
Phil's
one.
getting to the point where he invented the internet.
Okay, Al Gore.
That would have been probably around 92.
Oh man, I got you beat for a long way.
Avis, when did you first use the internet?
1984.
No, there wasn't no internet in 84.
It was called CompuServe, and I had an Apple computer too, and I dialed up to CompuServe. I signed up, and you could dial this 800 number, and I was at Cherry Point, and it would ring in at Raleigh. It cost about $10 a minute or something, but it was what became the internet. It was called CompuServe.
But wasn't that just a private server connection? It wasn't the internet, was it?
Well, I guess if you was in California, you could have dialed in that Raleigh phone number on the same
Philip,
CompuServe.
You're talking about the internet, and that evoked a mind's eye picture from me from the beginning. The internet, when I first heard it, I could picture pantyhose.
John Doe.
That mesh area crotch of pantyhose was the internet. Think about it.
Sandra Bullock.
Enter.
That's the internet. I mean, it sounds lewd and lascivious, but that was the first picture that jumped into my face.
Well, I remember working with a little bit with the house appraisals with Gregory back in was it early '80s, mid '80s, somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And Gregory was more in tune with computers, I think, than any of us. He was learned DOS and all that, but I don't think there was internet until the early '90s. The real internet.
Yeah, as any similarity to what it is today.
Did you do something on the internet before that, Gregory?
I remember that it was in the early 90s when I moved to Evergreen, 91 I think it was, yeah. And I had to get my business and such between Mobile and Evergreen, okay? And it was not the dial-up, but it was on the phone system.
Yeah. You could dial it. They would.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Kind of like
ain't
a
moving,
facsimile or something. But that was the first time, and it was never stable enough. You
get dropped.
It'd get dropped and interfere and so.
I remember now that you mentioned it, back to the question, the internet as we know it now, it was like in the 90s, and I remember that we first got a computer, and we was going to play with the internet.
You had to take turns because you did it on the phone line.
We did the dial in.
exactly.
You couldn't use the phone while you're on the internet. So I got Joey and John and Rachel and Sydney and Linda. They all looking over my shoulder. I'm gonna show you about the internet. And we like watching TV. We like to watch the Golden Girls. So I said, let's just search the Golden Girls. Golden Girls. It comes as a porn site. I couldn't get that thing to turn off. All I done was all moving over my shoulder. Daddy's gonna show us how it's done.
You remember the one I sent you that time, and he was come back. He was just laughing on the thing there, but he was in a cafe you go into to get it, and that was one of them where you had to look around real close for it. Remember that one? And it comes on there. Pervert. Somebody got me, and I said,
Yeah. Look real close now.
Look real close down.
Turn your
See,
volume up.
yeah, pervert, big old lizard looking thing.
That was a trick. Somebody send you that link.
Right.
Yeah. Do that in the library.
Right in the library. That one. Turn that thing off. Throw your coat over it, son. Oh Lord.
Did Daddy know anything about the internet before he died? Was he involved in email or anything?
I don't
No.
think he knew what a computer looked like.
Not unless it was on Gunsmoke or
Hee-haw.
Andy Griffith or Hee-haw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in 2012.
Yeah, he died in 2012, but I don't know that he ever had any interaction with it. He may have had somebody do something for him on the internet. In fact, when he took that trip, remember that. What was it? You went on a cruise.
The cruise, yeah.
Linda and Leanne had to formulate and build him a birth certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have a DD-214. It was before then. You had something else. I've got it at the house, but it's not called a DD-214. Got his serial number, Army, and all that. But they got in touch with the powers that be at the Social Security office and give him all his data, and they had to physically make up and get him a date of birth. They knew all that.
They did that on the internet.
Because he had to have a passport or something? Or?
Yeah, he had to have a passport. So they
To go on a cruise.
Yeah, they had to have proof of birth and all that.
Yeah.
He went on a cruise. And of course, Daddy ate that up. He had to fly. He flew out west somewhere to see a woman, somebody that he went out and visited. And
Sounds like some of his children.
first time he ever flew. And man, all these, they just took to him, on the shiny shoes. And this guy's never flown before. I'll walk him around all over the places.
he loved that.
He loved that boy, yeah.
Dope
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, that reminds me of that gift Susan sent him for the podiatry.
The pedicure.
The
He-
pedicure. Yeah.
I don't know how he interpreted
He
that.
just saw.
so
he
wrong.
probably did this and saw the P. It's a photograph. It's a photograph.
Yeah.
It's a pedicure. It's a pedicure. He dressed up to the nines. Boy, went in there and goes, excuse me. He said, help you, sir. Okay. Daddy's telling us about. Yeah, come in here and get my picture took.
Got my gift certificate right
I got
here.
a gift certificate. She said, sir, we do pedicures and nails and all, but we can take your picture. Just take your clothes off and come back around. He was the best dressed guy they ever had. They took his shoes off while he was in there and put his feet in the hot water. Got his picture.
Daddy said every time he went to get a pedicure after that, he'd get all dressed up.
I didn't get all that. I'm surprised he didn't dress up like that. That picture, it's on his grave,
Oh, yeah.
Daddy always wanted to be a cowboy
With a vest.
with a vest and a hat. You never saw a cowboy herding cattle with glasses on.
and the sissy hat like that. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, watching all them Gunsmoke episodes, they all wore vests.
That's right, yeah. Everybody wore a vest.
Well, if you was a real cowboy, you
That's
had to wear a
Hollywood.
vest.
It was handy pockets, plus the idea of a vest in the beginning, there was only one shirt size. One shirt size, sleeve length, everything, no collars if you remember. That's why they wore the scarf. That's why they had them things on the arms and cuffs to keep the sleeves up. And they wore that vest because it pulled the shirt into the body. Just like the motorcycle equipment. The chains and all that kind of stuff.
I remember a period of time during the 80s, I think you wore a vest you was in a vest all the time. You look at them old 80s pictures with Ronnie.
Me?
He's got a
Oh,
vest.
you buy a 3-piece suit, it comes with a vest.
No, I'm talking about just wearing a vest. You just putting on a vest a lot.
Well, there's got
Christmas
handy
time.
pockets.
Yeah.
Hides a gun.
Well, you don't got to justify it. Yeah. I suppose it would hide a gun.
Well, Greg, do you know now where the first bus stop was?
I've always known, Philip. You guys were the misguided ones,
What's this
okay?
about? I've missed that already. What was that about?
I thought we were the
No,
first.
they
bus stop.
debated if it was Jake's house or our house.
Don't you remember
Jake's
when we took the we went around the old bus trip around Mr. Jake's bus route?
Oh, yeah, you rode it for an hour.
Yeah, exactly. You remember when we went and recreated that, and all of y'all fussed at me
Yeah, I forgot
about going around and and which way he went and everything. Well, everybody was getting ready. If it hadn't been my truck, y'all would have thrown me out. But I was right because Philip verified it by Jake's son, Paul. Isn't that right, Philip?
Yeah, Paul verified that.
Yeah.
But
The first stop?
No, the whole route actually.
Yeah.
But the argument was that
Where
which
did he
road
start?
did Jake come along? Where did he start? And my argument was he come around on that state line road over to the Flowers Girl, and then came down and come up to us, our little place, and then the white place, and then Ricky, and took off
Well,
on
see,
that.
I thought he came from his house, come right down to the church, and come straight down.
Yeah.
And got us.
Yeah.
And went on down and got the Manning girl.
Right.
No,
Picked
no,
her
no,
up.
no,
made it,
no,
and
no.
he came back by our house.
Came back by
No,
our
yeah.
house.
no,
He
That's
picked
right.
us up on the way back up.
Right.
He was been down there somewhere turning around.
That's right.
And we was the first ones on there because the heater wasn't even warmed up
That's
yet.
right.
It was cold
Windows
in
was
there.
fogged
No,
up
no.
like that.
Well, you're right about not being warmed up, but he came around and got the Manning Girl was the first stop and the last stop because we were the second stop.
So this
So
Manning
Faye-
girl was
I
on there when
remember-
we got on?
Yeah, if when she rode the bus,
When
yeah.
she rode it, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I remember him going up there and picking up Faye Manning, but I thought he turned around there and come back down.
That he
you
did
know-
that. He did that in some unusual cases, I think. But most of the time, he came around the backside, picked up Manning, and then came because it was
But
less
that loop
turning around.
around Jones Road or whatever.
Exactly.
Before he came down there at one time, the Greens lived just up Faye and Ann Green. He had to go right up to the corner where it's the state,
Mhm.
and he would pick up those two and turn around and come back and come down our road and go to the Manning girl and come back by us. And then he'd come back
Back to Antioch, take a
back to
left.
Antioch and go down there and go down to pick up the seals.
Seals
Go down
is
and pick
and-
up Hollis Dortch and all that.
Oh, yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
And then you go on that other road and get
Up the Hollinsworth Road,
Yeah,
cut
come
back.
back around.
Capers, you go way down there and get
Capers way down
capers.
there. We never identified where that was.
Right.
But
It was out in the woods. Could have been
It
anywhere.
was, yeah.
I mean, he did so many turn-ins around
He
there.
did, yeah.
But on his normal route was start at his place and going down to the Mannings.
State Line Road.
Yep. And then come down where the mailbox was and
Mhm.
turning right and coming picking us up to then
Yeah.
turning from
I
there.
remember him going by our
It's
house
called
twice.
Jones Road. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember him going by our house twice on a few occasions at least. That's why
But
it's
see,
in
if
my
you missed
mind.
him the first time, and I did this a time or two, you could run the way he had gone and cut across up there just above where Papa lived
Mhm.
and
With
come
Mr.
across
Stewart's
that
house,
fence
you could
all the
catch
way
over-
over to Bolt Tullis's house and come right out over there and catch it over where Leroy and him got on the bus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
you could cut through Albritton Road, up Albritton Road is
Yeah.
what it is now, but you could
Right.
go to the other end of it and catch him after he makes that other loop.
After he
missed it.
picked up the
Down there at
Johnsons.
Mr. Steers' house.
Yeah, after he picked up the Johnson clan
Mhm.
over there.
Well, Paul told me on the phone. Lloyd called Paul one day, and I got on the phone and asked Paul about the bus route, and he said he thought for just a minute. And he said, "Now let's say, we'd go crank the bus up, and we'd go down that State Line Road to the Mannings." And I didn't suggest anything to
Yeah.
him. He just volunteered that as what he had remembered the first part of the route.
Well, I think after Barbara Ann took over the route, she changed it up a little bit from what Jake used to drive.
But now let's get things coupled clear here though too. We're talking about 2 generations or 3
Oh, yeah.
of his driving here.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
when
Yeah.
Ronnie was a youngin, okay.
Didn't he
and
drive the bus when
Greens-
Daddy went to school?
Oh, yeah,
Listen,
exactly.
I've told everybody something unique. You can't understand this, wrap your mind around it. But my daddy and I had the same school bus driver. People, wait a minute. How old are you?
That's like one of them. I'm my own grandpa.
Yeah.
But things changed around, and Ronnie talking about going and running down through. He didn't go to Miss Stewart's when he ran that. No, he went down to the Tullis.
I went down to where the
Tullis,
fence
yeah.
in.
Yeah,
Ain't
There's a
I
fence
over there where
road.
Ain't I used
Yeah,
to
come
live.
on.
exactly.
Wayne
Back
Island.
off in there.
Yeah.
And but when we were, a couple of years later, we would take the Albritton Road all the way down to Stewart's to
Well,
catch it.
the
on
route had
roads.
expanded to go up to Hollinsworth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
place.
Exactly. And the idea about when Barbara Ann, whoever it was, came and started driving, things had changed from there too.
D. Wayne's wife, Barbara Ann,
D. Wayne.
Okay.
drove after Jake retired.
See, I was not around in those days.
So did
Yeah,
you ride
was-
that bus?
That was after.
Yeah, with
hmm
And I had
Was
rode
it Dorothy?
just a couple of years. That's,
Yeah.
that's when.
what's her name? Barbara Ann.
Leon's daughter was
Barbara
on
Ann.
the
Yeah,
thing.
one of her kids had
My-
epilepsy, and I
People
remember
that we kin
when
to,
she
I didn't
started
know we were
driving,
kin
one of
then,
her
but it was,
boys
I
had
thought they was just pretty girls.
an attack
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the bus.
I can't remember their names.
Was
Leon's
that-
Scared me to
daughter
death.
and
Was
there was
that-
Gabby?
What's her? One of them was
some-
Russell, and
another
one
one
was
named
Ronald.
Gabby Gabby Hollinsworth.
Hollinsworth, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably one of the granddaughter to Grady, I guess.
Mhm.
Who's the Hollinsworth that live over there? Besides,
Well,
Grady?
their
Who's the
son,
oldest? Dewey?
Barbara Ann and D. Wayne's son, Ronald Wayne, was married to a woman who later drove the bus after Barbara.
Really?
Yeah, she lived over there somewhere out of the Century. She was a Dunsford, but he married her, and she became a Hollinsworth, and she drove the bus.
Well, that's just a Hollinsworth route.
Yeah, it was. And Roy drove it, off down there in Pineville. Roy, and then
You mean Barbara Ann's daughter drove the bus
Barbara
too?
Ann's daughter-in-law, who
Daughter-in-law.
married her son. She became a Hollinsworth, and she in turn drove the bus route. So.
Yeah. Well, that was a good side job for farmers.
yeah,
and
sure,
stuff,
yeah.
you know. Well,
Roy drove it and farmed all his life, I guess, or whatever he done. Jake did, and what's his name? Jimmy Davis, Homer Davis, has run that old store, and he drove one all his.
but Susan, you don't remember
Lonnie
riding.
Foster.
You don't remember riding the bus with Mr. Jake driving it.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you did. Okay.
He had a Coca-Cola crate. He put his there once. He had one cutting up. He'd make him sit up there and flag it, and work that job.
That was when I was in first grade, and I started second grade, and then we moved to Pensacola. And then when I came back years later, I was in high school, and I think it was Barbara Ann then.
I see. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
probably would have been.
I remember Mr. Jake slamming on them brakes over on Nokomis Road and slamming that
Jump
thing.
up, boy.
Pop that clutch out. And yeah, you know you getting fixed to
He
get chewed out.
juice on the rear end, boy. He'd get down there. Hey,
Yeah.
we get complaints from Atmore. And boy, and heaven help us if the bridge was washed out or something and you had to detour and go around through Atmore. A bunch of heathens on the bus.
Well, that's the first time I learned that you could get fingerprints off of chewing gum.
I remember that speech.
Yeah,
You know, I still have dreams about missing that bus in the afternoon. When I was in 6th grade, I rode that bus, and I was paranoid about missing the bus.
At school, you mean?
Getting on
Yeah,
the wrong
at school,
one.
getting on the wrong one, or
You
or
could
missing
come out
the
in
bus.
buses everywhere.
Well, in
And
Pensacola,
youngins everywhere to run it back and forth.
in Pensacola at Woodham, Daddy used to let me drive the car at old 57 Ford, black Ford. He let me drive the car from Gulf Breeze over to Woodham every now and then. And on this one occasion that I drove the car to the school, I got on the bus and rode it home. And I left the car at school. Mama or Daddy wanted so mad they had to take me all the way back to the school to get it.
And that was a long drive.
No wonder you got branded a criminal.
Yeah,
All that kind of stuff.
yeah, I was a criminal.
Where did Lloyd go? He must have gone to the bathroom.
I think he signed off. He
Probably
fled.
forgot
I
we're
think.
in here.
He had to go DoorDash, probably.
DoorDash.
He's out there delivering.
Get them daylight deliveries in. He's probably tuned in out there, you know.
Yeah, I don't know where he went. He didn't say.
We're not supposed to be on the air. I mean, this
You
is
sure
just
we
going
are.
straight
It's
to
being-
tape.
it's being
We're just straight to
recorded.
video.
It don't matter. Ain't nobody listening.
Yeah, we're just doing it for our own posterity.
Right.
Put it on.
Yeah,
Put it on YouTube or something.
sure. Yeah.
But
It's all out there. Put it in.
In the internet.
It's all out there.
on the
In
internet.
cloud.
A cloud.
Well, if the internet ever collapses, we're all back to.
It's too big.
Horse and
it's
buggies
too big
anyway.
to fail. It won't collapse.
We can't be back
Oh,
to
no,
horse.
it's not
Ain't
too
nobody
late,
got a
no.
horse or buggy.
It will collapse one day. Mark my words.
Well, China probably got a way that they could zap it with something.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they don't mess with the water
We'll all
system,
shut down then.
water tanks.
My second wife, Jenny, she was always of the mind. She resisted technology,
Oh, me too.
and she always made this comment. She says, "One of these days, the Japanese are going to punch that button and cut everybody off."
She had it wrong. It's the Chinese.
Yeah.
One of those knees people.
Yeah,
But you don't never know. You take it all for granted until it don't work.
That's right.
And it's the same. That's why I just quit that bank I was with. When I I push that button like I do 1,000 times and it don't go, and you call them and they say, "Oh no, you got locked out." What? You locked me out of my money? Oh, I'm done with them.
Yeah.
Change banks right now. We're done with you.
they thought you was a hacker or something. Yeah.
I guess they thought they were protecting me from me. Doing a good job.
Yeah.
It's so secure.
Well,
not even you.
you
can
know,
get
some
in there.
people are theory is that nothing has really happened. Just like, people complain, man, they got to put a man on the moon in '69, and here we're in so and so years later. And he said, wait a minute, are you sure there was a man put on the moon? Could there have possibly been a man on the moon?
Yeah, those are conspiracy theorists. Of
Well, they
course.
filmed all those space movies in West Texas. Where everybody had to, didn't they?
Might as
drive
well
to
be
El
the
Paso.
moon. You've ever been to West Texas?
Yeah. You
Takes
ride
about
out
as
towards
long.
El Paso, all you see is a big old thing pumping out like this.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I am one of those
No, they're
conspiracy
just right here.
Yeah.
conspiracy
I think
theorists
Biden
too.
put the ixnay on
Oh,
all of
yeah.
those.
You're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. I don't believe they landed on the moon. And I also don't believe in dinosaurs. My kids make fun of me constantly about that.
Well, they ain't no dinosaur
There ain't
now.
nothing.
There never was. Well, there might have been.
Evidently, old
made
Biden doesn't believe in dinosaurs either because we don't like oil.
There probably was dinosaurs on this earth, but it was so many billions of years ago. It's been recycled. That's recycled.
It's
That's
fossil
why they
fuel.
keep
It's
finding
fossil
all these.
fuel,
Yeah, that's oil now.
Fossil
That's
fuel.
why they keep finding this stuff and
Yeah.
dating it back to a billion years,
yeah.
whatever. Well, that's possible. I mean, this ball
It could have been anything.
dirt could have
It
been
could have been
floating around a long time.
an elephant,
Carbon footprint.
not a
yeah.
dinosaur. You know.
Well, they found a pig bone somewhere, and then some scientist had already painted a picture of people
Yeah,
sitting
yeah.
around a fire,
I think
having,
Seinfeld
playing cards or
Fell
something.
covered that, didn't you, about the pig boy in there? And all
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. Turned out to be a pig bone.
What was that bug they recently found? A mosquito or a roach or something embedded in pine rosin? It'd been there for 35 million billion years.
Jurassic
they-
Park.
Yeah.
They got the DNA and made a bunch of dinosaurs.
That was Top Gun 2, Philip.
Oh, was it? Top Gun. Is that the Top Gun Maverick? Is that Tom Cruise?
Yeah, Mom. Yeah.
Tom Cruise control.
Yeah.
Ain't he old yet?
I can't believe how young he looks.
It's called makeup.
Makeup.
He got money for implants and everything.
Yeah. That's
You don't-
mirrors. All done with mirrors.
Yeah.
You
Smoking mirror.
You don't believe in the man on the moon and you don't believe in dinosaurs. Why do you believe in Tom Cruise?
I didn't say I believed
Yeah,
in Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise would look
I
just
just
like
said he
that
looked
other-
young.
What's that other guy's name? That,
Brad Armpit.
no,
Brad
Well, ain't got no voice anymore.
Oh, Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer.
Ah.
He'd look just like Val Kilmer if he was spending all that money on his teeth and stuff.
Cigarettes and all
But
that.
he's a Scientologist. Tom Cruise is.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm sure that keeps him good looking.
I'm not
too.
sure he has much of a religion.
Yeah. Well.
But
It's-
Susan, reason Tom
It's
Cruise,
Bitcoin is his.
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
reason Tom Cruise looks so young isn't because of him. It's because we so old.
Do you know
Everybody looks
half a Bitcoin is about $47,000?
Ronnie, you haven't been watching
What?
the news lately, have
What's
you?
what is the Bitcoin anyway?
It's made
It's
up.
something made up.
It's kind of like the
It's
cloud.
created,
It's fantasy
Is
land.
Just
that
like
what
the
some of
internet.
that cryptocurrency? Is that what
Exactly,
that
yeah.
cryptocurrency?
Uh-huh.
kind
There's 3 or 4 different things with
Is
different.
Why
it
do
worth-
they keep
Is it
measuring?
worth more than that then now?
No, it's bottom.
Why do they measure
Bottom
their
line.
value in dollars? And they say cryptocurrency because it's going to replace real money. But yet they still measure the value of that Bitcoin in
Uh-huh.
dollars.
Yeah.
So
Avis, what
If
is
it's-
real money?
if you don't have any dollars anymore, how's you going to value the Bitcoin? It could be worth a carrot or a
What is
potato.
a dollar? What is a dollar?
I don't know.
It's a piece of paper.
Well, we hear
No,
about
isn't.
it.
Piece of paper.
It's not a piece of paper.
It's a
It is not a piece of paper.
Cotton. It's got cotton.
No, it's not even that. Yeah,
Fabric.
if you look,
it's a medium of exchange.
It's a medium.
It's a
of-
promissory note.
conduit of it. It is an idea.
Yeah.
It is an idea because what you got when you get paid, okay, when you get your money, it comes into your bank account. There's no money there.
It's
That's
just
right.
yeah,
Okay.
it's just numbers on paper.
Exactly. You know, we talk about how the feds print money. They don't print money. They just put more digits on it and send it out. There is not much difference between U.S. dollars and cryptocurrency right now. That's scary, but that's it.
Well, they ain't got no basis for value anyway.
Well,
since they took the gold
reason
standard out, it ain't
they-
got no basis.
The
Besides
reason we hear on the news the cryptocurrency is so many dollars is because we're in the U.S. In Japan, they're on the news saying
Yen.
cryptocurrency so much yen is the value.
I don't think
Posadas.
so because even
No.
when I was in the Philippines, they're still telling you what a Bitcoin is worth so many X dollars.
That's because
All
Philippines
over
still
the world.
use U.S.
They
dollars.
could tell, everybody could tell you what the Chinese money is worth. So many dollars worth of contract, so many dollars.
When I
It's
was-
all measured in U.S. dollars. Everything around the world.
Because it's
always-
the standard currency. It's the standard.
When I
Yeah.
went to Japan on my way to Vietnam in 1965, early 65, 360 yen was a dollar.
Yeah.
3,600 yen was $10.
Mhm.
And the highest denomination in that MPC was $10 in Vietnam.
But now, when I still have money in my drawers, the lira from Italy
Mhm.
and pesos from Spain, not Mexico. Spain.
Lira, that's the French, ain't it?
That's Italian.
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 Yeah.
Oh yeah, Italian.
And I got some French money in there too, but none of that's any good. Even the coins are not any good because they deal with euros.
Euro, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Transition.
So is the euro gone?
No, it's
It's replaced all those others.
The British still got the
Really?
pounds though.
all
Oh,
those.
yeah.
The Britain still got the pound. And
Yeah,
What's,
Brits still got
what's a euro equivalent to in dollars?
about $1.
no, not really.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Euro and
Yeah,
America.
it fluctuates some.
The parity is it's almost about matched up dollar.
Last time I changed out, it took $1.25 or something to buy a euro.
We were discussing this the other day about we're looking at Philippine pesos, and the value of the peso keeps inching up and up and up. It's 52 something the last time I looked at it, 52 pesos per
For a
dollar.
Huh.
Well, it should be. I would think it would be more like 42 pesos to a dollar because the American economy is in such a dumpster.
Yeah.
But the
But
same
the
thing.
value.
The same thing was happening with the euro. It was
Right.
going
We
up
looked
and
at some
up.
other currencies, and the dollar is also gaining strength with others. When the U.S. economy is in the dumpster again.
See, nothing has any value unless you find somebody who wants it.
That's true.
See, diamonds and jewelry is worth nothing to me.
yeah,
I don't
me too.
understand people's penchant for hawking their car to buy a ring or a necklace. Of course, I get in trouble with the women all the time, but they're nothing but a shiny rock. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a market.
can't-
That's how
you
the
can't
value
eat
is
it.
determined by the market in which it is traded.
Alexander Hamilton is to blame for all that.
He invented that market thing.
He invented that market.
They put him on the $10 bill.
They did.
for it, you know?
Can you
That's
believe
all they
put
give him is
just the
$10?
Exactly.
He ought to have been
$10
on 100.
That's Benjamin Franklin.
Wasn't he
He
the
wasn't
one?
even my president.
Wasn't he the one killed,
Neither
shot
was
by
Alexander
Benedict
Hamilton.
Oh
Arnold?
well.
Who's that?
Alexander Hamilton, didn't he
No.
get shot by Benedict
No,
Arnold?
he got shot by
Man.
John Birch. wasn't
No.
John Dunn.
John Dunn, right? John Dunn.
he? Who's Aaron Burr?
Aaron Burr.
Aaron Burr.
I thought it
Aaron
was
Burr.
Raymond Burr.
No, he killed Perry Mason.
Oh, yeah. He couldn't even walk.
If anybody's listening to this, they ought to be thoroughly confused. By it. They wired up the crazy house over there.
Yeah. Well, that's the purpose of it all.
All right, we about done?
We burned up an hour. yet?
Done.
Yeah, it's been over an hour.
Well, we were late getting in here, so it has probably been about an hour.
Lloyd just
Let
disappeared.
me tell y'all another story though.
Oh
that I
gosh,
heard.
I ain't got
No,
time for
listen, you got this. Won't take long.
Well, I've heard that before.
I'll streamline it. I'll streamline. Look. This Dr. George John Miller was a classic for telling these things, but he knew just about everything. But he was telling us about the old boy during the Depression era that found himself, got off the bus, and it was hard times. You had to scrape for food, and the old guy finds himself in a red light district in Miami, South Florida. And he's starving to death, so he goes through and he's knocking on the doors, and this madam opens the door at the red light district there and asks him, he said, ma'am, he said, I'm starving to death, hadn't eaten such time. If you got any food, this was around the holidays, and anything at all you could afford, he said, I'd be glad to handyman my way and work, chop wood or whatever. She said, we got a full-time handyman, but the girls here probably need somebody to help them keeping their books balanced. They can't keep up with the right exchange. He said, well, I can't help you there, ma'am. He said, I'm basically literate. I can't read and write, but I can labor. She said, well, no, we don't have it, but here's some fruit. They had a bounty of it, but nobody to eat it. So he takes this thing of fruit and goes and sits down in town on the corner, and he eats his fill and realizes he's still got a box of apples and oranges and bananas. So he moves over here in another high foot traffic area and starts selling for pennies and nickels and whatever like that. Finally, he's got a pretty good little sizable fund. He runs down to the grocery store, finds one open, and buys him some more, builds him a little shack on the side, it just kept going. And he's making a little bit of money here and here. And finally, he has a store, his own store. And he's selling, man. He comes in, expands. He's got a couple of them around town, Finally, someday realizing
Get to the
how,
Walmart and listen.
how fortunate he is. So the guy comes in and said, "Man, you've really been real good at this." He says, "We'd like to buy you out with one stipulation that you won't, since you've been so successful, we don't know your secret. We don't want you trying to get out on this limb again and get into our business." He said, "No, I'll be glad to." He said, "Well, good." And he filled out the paper. "We're going to give you such $1 million here, $1 million for that one." And he said, "All you got to do is sign right here if you will." And the guy looks down and he said, "Well, I'll tell you what." He said, I can't write, but I'll make my X here." He put his X in. The guy said, "Man, I can't understand that." He said, "With your fame and fortune, what in the world could you have achieved, or what could you have been if you'd been able to read and write?" He says, "Well, I can answer that right off." He said, "I'd have been a bookkeeper or